Before we even start, I just want to say it feels so nice to be able to see the chat again without having to look on another device. It's like just instantly proof that we're going to have a better stream. Even something as minor as that raises my hopes a little bit. Every now and again, there will be some stream I do where I'll have some idea, like just some topic in mind, just kind of like prepped up, like, okay, I want to discuss this. I want to talk about that. Because some days I really do, just figure, okay, well, I'll get on there. I'll talk about most likely whatever happened the day before, a few days before, but nothing in particular, right? It's just kind of a miscellaneous number of things. But in this case, we have an actual thing to discuss. I mentioned some streams back. I even did a video on it that when I first began working for my job, went to orientation. This was back in the beginning of November because it's like that latter part, very late in the last year I started working there. I was seated at this table with two other people that I guess were also being hired. One of them I know like still works there and recognized me and we still speak to each other. Although we're not I wouldn't call us friends because he does his whole like defending of insane things that some of these women do, and I'm not really a fan of listening to that stuff. But putting that aside, when we had this orientation with the manager who no longer is there, the story of his departure is interesting as well, but we can save it for another day. He mentioned to us that we had an employee discount. We get stuff half off, with the only two stipulations. One stipulation was you can only use that location, and the other one was you can only use it for yourself. Now, when I saw this, when I heard this, I was kind of annoyed a little bit because, like I said, this job is 30 miles from where I stay, or 20 something miles, give or take, depending on this place or the other one. And it really makes no sense for me to drive that far to get something half off when the cost of gas is, pretty much like the difference. So, like, for example, even if you could theoretically be saved $5 or $6 on something from there, you still have to pay that amount in gas to be able to compensate for how far it was to drive it there. It's really lousy. And I've worked other places where I've had discounts. This is the only one where they're so, I'm just gonna say it, cheap, right? So money hungry that they would make it to where you couldn't use it at other locations. I was working in a retailer about 2 years ago, and I had a discount which worked at any store related that was of the same brand. Um, so this is just not a common thing that I've seen other places do. It's just more corporate greed. But I said, you know what? Whatever. Now, when I first started working there, you used to be able to get free food. This was stuff that was leftovers, right? Just things that they cooked that people never got around to getting, or it was something they made right before the place was closing. There just whatever the reason was, but there was stuff that was left over. And whenever this stuff was left over and it was finished and they knew they weren't going to be selling it anymore, they would allow the employees who were working that day to get some of it. Now, I worked a lot of shifts where I was there after the place would close, and that caused me to, in many cases, get free food. And that was really one of the highlights of working at the place, to be fair, because this was at a time where I thought the cost of food was getting nuts. I wasn't getting any assistance with paying for just basic things I need to survive by these relatives that claim to love me so much, right? The nice little scam that was on their part. So for me, it really was one of the only instances where I could get any assistance with just eating from anywhere. And it went a long way. But eventually, after probably about 4, 5, maybe 6 months of being there, maybe about half a year, they changed it to where you could no longer get free food. And at first, when I heard this, I was like, huh? Now, the explanation I was given is that one of the upper tier, upper level managers had discovered that some of the employees were making food for themselves. So like, okay, we're gonna close in like 20 minutes. Oh, I'll make this, and pretend it's for a customer, and then I'll take it home and eat it. Um, and when I heard this, like as the rationale, it disgusted me. But even if we were to just ignore the fact that they're trying to punish everyone for something that someone else did, what disturbed me so much, like what I thought was genuinely evil, right, is that this food, if the employees don't eat it, is going in the trash. This food that is fresh, right off the grill, right off the stove. It's just been made. It's not going to any customer. If it's not given or allowed to be consumed by the employees, it will be thrown into the trash. And for the life of me, because like I said, I get corporate greed. Like I know this is why when they raise wages, they cut people's hours, they start trying to see how many people they can send home early. I know all this the little schemes and tricks. I've been around these people for years. But I've never like I've really sat back here for the last few months thinking about this. And I said, okay, if this food is something that we can confirm that they're not going to sell to people, right? At all. No, there's no chance that this food will be sold. Then the decision to not let employees have it is motivated by nothing other than villainy, cynicism, contempt for the people that make your place work in the first place. Because think about this. It is confirmed that this food will be thrown in the trash. I've seen them do it. It hits whatever time the place closes. They start throwing all the stuff in the garbage. So whatever food before was not consumed by us would just get thrown out. Now all of it is just thrown out. And this annoyed me. It took away one of the few benefits of being an employee there. But I said, okay, you know what? At least I still have my discount, right? Yeah, it's dumb that I can only use it at the one I work at, and the one I work at is 30 miles from where I live. But I so when I get here, I can just like come in, order enough stuff to eat tonight, and then I should be fine. Okay. Um, and then we get to the discount nerfing. So I tend to get two of the thing I like from there because I can eat one before the shift starts, and then when I get home, usually, now this isn't always the case, but usually when I leave from there, it's like 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. In the latter, like the early hours of the morning, and many times these other food places or places where you could even get food are closed. So you just would have nothing to eat when you get back to your place. It's me assuring myself that I'll have something that allows me to be full so I'm not like distracted by hunger when I'm working, and also something to eat when I get back to my place. Um, and I did have one manager ask me why I always get two of the same thing, and I explained it and they understood it. The first instance of this happening, I would say, was sometime around either April or May, probably May, where I had a guy take my order just as it normally occurs, right? They take the order and then they have a manager that comes up and does a swipe, and that's when the thing is half off. This manager comes up and does the swipe like it's always done, right? But then starts to type something into the computer. And my total, I remember, is always supposed to be about $11. And I see this thing and it says like 17, 18. I'm like, what the hell? Because I don't react by any verbal dialect. I just kind of like look like confused, like what in the world? Maybe like this is not something I've seen before. And she says, your discount only applies to one combo. And when I hear this, um, I pay for the thing, whatever, and I'm like, wow. Now, let me try to put this into perspective. For someone like myself who is not assisted by anybody with having to pay for, again, basic things, I do tend to watch how much I spend on things, right? Hey, this was this much, this was that much. Okay, that was like $20 here. Because I know that the buck stops with me, that, if I don't have money, then I'm just like, screwed. And again, that was one of the reasons why I liked so much the whole leftover aspect of working there. And when they took that away from me, I said, okay, well, you know what? I can still get something to eat via, um, you know, the discount. There's still like a benefit that I can utilize. And now even that has become something that is not capable. And I said very plainly to one of the guys I work with, I said, look, I can't fill myself up with one of those things. It's not enough. Um Now eventually a month or so passes and this same manager does this again, and I noticed that she's the only one that does this. And then I came in there um day before yesterday, and it, like, saw her in there, but she wasn't the one in the front. And I ordered my same thing, and they did this to me for what was now the third time. And that was when I decreed on August 22nd that that would be the final time I ever ordered food from that place. uh so my new strategy is to just go to this one fast food place that's like right up the street from me. You can get, I'd say, an objectively larger amount of stuff for a slightly higher price or a slightly smaller price. Uh, what was interesting was that yesterday the head, I'm not going to mention this guy. It's one of those things where I've mentioned before that like people who are in leadership positions are not leaders. Like they can't directly say something to you about something, so they just kind of dance around actually addressing it. But I've mentioned before that the manager that was like the one that was known, like, associated with this, she at one point asked me, "How come you didn't order your two things like you do every day of your life?" It's like really weird, kind of insulting way of asking me a question. Uh, which, it's funny. Because I talked about how, like, with a lot of these jobs, whether it's the managers, other people that work there, they really do start to see their fellow employees almost like, you could call it a body, you could say, second class citizens, not people, but they do see us, in if we're not parasites to them, almost like we're not even people. Like, we just, our entire existence is narrowly defined by the fact that we work here. And you know, I can't make this any more clear than to say I'm the kind of person where even if I adhere to the regulations of something for a while, or try to bend the knee in terms of like, okay, look, I don't like this, but this is the new protocol. If it's something that's optional, there's only a certain amount of that I'm willing to do. So I used to go, and I gave this example to someone a day ago. I used to go to Chick-fil-A every Saturday. I'd order, I think it was a burger, some fries, and a milkshake. And this used to total to like $12. And I'll never forget, it was January of last year. And my brother wanted a shake from there. So when I went there the next time, I ordered two shakes and then, a meal for myself. One shake for him, one shake for me. And the total was $18. And I was like, huh? Because at first I thought maybe they've overcharged me. Maybe, you know, someone misheard me. We can, this will be resolved. But then I looked at the receipt and I said, oh my. And then that's when I realized they took these tiny shakes that are about this big and they raised the price from $2 to like 4. And now it's like 4.50. And when that happened, I told him in plain English, I will never, if you want a shake from somewhere else, maybe, right, whatever, but I'm not paying $4 for a small shake. It's stupid. And to this day, I have never ordered a shake from there. I don't even go there anymore. I used to go there and just okay, I'll just get a regular drink, right? Maybe or I'll go and get a shake from somewhere else. I don't even play with them anymore because as I said, I'm the kind of person where again at a certain point I just won't capitulate. It's like okay, I won't acquiesce to their petulance. It was nice to get free food when that place, when you start working there, they took that away. Okay, I saw my discount. I can get like, two of something half off. Oh, now they want I can only get one of this particular thing or one of this thing half off and then pay full price. I mean, at that point, I just throw my hands in there and say, forget it. Like I'm not giving you guys $17 for something that used to be 11. It's just not happening. And it's so interesting because they're in this unique position where I guess they assume that I'm going to just put up with it because there have been other instances where, they charge me this and I go for a few days without eating there until it looks like we're in the, but I'm not going to keep playing this game. I'm not going to keep getting cheated out of money like that. Like 3 instances where they raised the price on me by $6 or $7. That's 20 something bucks. And they're not doing it a fourth time. They have the 3 strikes rule. That's it. But I think it's interesting because a lot of corporations in their desire to, raise profits for themselves do have this belief that we can raise things by $1, by $5, by $10, and people will just put up with it. And I'm sorry, but the reality is there are some people who once stuff gets too expensive, they're going to go somewhere else or just not bother with you, period, or any of these fast food places or retailers or whatever. I mean, I remember when I went to Fat Burger one time with my dad, and for 2 burgers, it was like 30 something bucks. And I sat back and I said, wait a second. If two people like this is just what I was thinking about. If you get a burger from here once a day for 5 days, that's like what, 70, $80? Like absurd. For a burger? Like I know places where you can get multiple of like 3 burgers for 16 for the same like at the same price, if not slightly cheaper. But I just bring it up to say that sometimes these companies really do think they are actually doing something efficient by doing the whole, we'll keep raising the prices, they'll keep putting up with it. But the reality is they're going to hurt themselves in the long run because it's like this. Every time you come up there, you get this thing. So it's probably altogether about maybe 30 bucks they get from you a week if you go up there like or 40, right? If you go up there and eat from there each time. Um, in their desire to boost that to like 80 bucks or 60 something, right? Like they're not content with just getting the 40 from you. They want it to be even higher. They want more money, right? The greed. In their attempt to squeeze more money out of you by raising the prices, they're now going to end up getting nothing from you. But see, that's the stuff that like just is so baffling to me because they do believe that some of us just don't have a any like ability to say, hey, look, I'm not going to be pushed this far. I'm not gonna, you're not going to raise this on me over and over again. I'm just going to keep going. Yeah, I guess I have to pay this. I guess I have to pay this. And I said, in all seriousness, maybe if I had the luxury of having people that assisted me with paying for basic utilities like food or gas, I would uh, not be as bothered by the prospect of having to give almost $20 every time I want to go and get 2 things from my own damn job. But uh, the fact that there is not that assistance does not exist, I'm not going to, and that there are cheaper alternatives, I'm going to walk away. I've said this before. None of these places that make food are making anything that remotely requires us to pay ridiculous prices, like to where we're like, oh man, well they raised the price on this, but I guess I have to give it to them. They're not gas, they're not rent, and even with those, you can still find ways to not with gas, but with rent especially. Like there are people who just will stop living somewhere because it just costs too much. So yeah, I mean, they're laughing right now. Ha ha ha. We had him pay seven extra dollars for the thing that used to be 11. Ha, ha, but I guarantee, give it a week, a month, another month. You will not see me eat from there ever again. I'm a man of my word. When I had that one dingbat back in, what was that, March, try to get me in trouble, right? The whole, go to the movie, can never just outright say I'm not interested, have to keep playing these. When that happened, I said I will never ask another one of them to do anything with me again. This will not occur a second time, and it has not. I'm very serious about there being like a certain point of just my patience running out with things. And that does get reached every now and again with various topics or ideas. This whole, like, discount thing being a good example. And many of these places just assume that the people that work for them or the people that uh, come in are all these lazy individuals that will just put up with anything, any like weird, crazy stuff they do. And I do not. Really, my only regret about, and like I bring up the relatives, and we're going to talk more about them as we progress here. But I bring them up because I think about 2, 3 years ago, right when I had the safety net, when I had someone that actually cared about me, that would make sure I was all right, and wasn't trying to pretend that um, you had to get one of these horrible jobs just to like live with them. When I think about them and how much they did versus the ones now who just are only good at running their mouths, I always imagine just like the prospect of working somewhere like here 2 years ago, and just it's such a good feeling to know, right, that you could just say, hey, look, this is stupid, I'm out, right? You just quit. Because I do believe in the prospect of, hey, look, none of these jobs should be a permanent thing that you have to do. But no, to get more so to the central idea here, I had a really interesting conversation yesterday. I don't know how to put it into words entirely, so I guess I'll try to like give the play by play. Um, a lot of these jobs will pay like 16 an hour, 20 an hour, and we'll have these things we have to pay for that seem to just raise in price. Food, gas, rent, and I mentioned the whole like thing with this relative, right? The one that was charging me all the 300 just to stay with them, right? The whole like, hey, you will pay this if you want to be with, in my house or whatever. And how on top of having to pay that 300, I had to pay the bank, 700, and then also find a way to carve out money for food and gas. It was insane. It was ridiculous. It was something that was not sustainable. It was something that I just couldn't keep doing month after month after month after month. But I thought about this relative, right? The whole like, I'm in my 40s and I still live paycheck to paycheck. And I said, I guess I'll try to break this down as best I can. Things are not good right now, right? But I've always tried to hold on to the idea or the hope that things will improve. And I guess it's a spinoff of my faith. I'm Catholic. I think it more so just has to do with a general belief system I have, and it's basically this idea that I do not think, because people all like talk about like the meaning of life and whatever. I don't believe individuals, human beings, were put on this planet to be miserable and not get the things they want. I just, in my picturing of either God or, if other people want to believe it was science that created, the Big Bang Theory, I just don't believe that when someone is born, there is this fate for them of, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to keep barely having any money until I'm, halfway to being 50 years old, and then 20 years later, I'm going to pass away from having some illness that just takes me. I mean, I don't assess that as being a thing we're supposed to just have happen to us. Like, I don't think God would be satisfied seeing people who say they love you abandon you, not call you to see how you're doing, just nothing, right? I don't think he would be content with that. Again, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I've always had the fundamental belief that a person's purpose is to achieve either a dream or a goal. It could be some nebulous thing, maybe, right, that differs for each individual. But I also just don't believe that human beings were like made to suffer or be afraid that they're going to run out of money or work some job that they despise for most of their life. I don't think of that as a realistic solution to the issue of creation. I just don't see it as something that individuals were made to fulfill. It's just not a thing I can buy. Oh, I can't believe it. I get to see Rev a second time. It's when this thing happened with the relative. I had reached the point of no return because I just thought it was so unfair that a person could just like not help you with anything, but then keep taking money from you, like large amounts of money. Like I've explained this before, $300 um, is enough for me to either eat for an entire month, if not longer, or to get gas for my car for an entire month, or even to do both. I mean, it's a really big chunk of money that they're taking from someone who at one point didn't even have a job, so it was just minus, minus, minus. And at another point, gets a job and has to pay for this other thing on top of that. It was just too much money, and they didn't understand. I didn't even want to say this, but last Saturday they sent me a message where they were like, I don't know how you could stay over there, but that was your choice, and I care about you, and I love, and I was just rolling my eyes because again, it's that whole thing of like, even if they're the direct cause for someone either being homeless or living in some what they consider to be decrepit or lesser positions, uh, they will never acknowledge their accountability. That, like in this person's message of, I am so worried about you, they never once say, hey, maybe I shouldn't have charged you $300 a month while you were having to pay the bank by yourself 700, and then also have to like buy your own food and get. I mean, like it just they never can admit they did anything wrong, or that they played a role in trying to bring about your demise, your financial demise, your financial demise, which will bring about your actual demise when you don't have any money to be able to get gas for your car. You can't go to your job, which means you won't get any money to be able to live, which means you will then be kicked out by this person, which means you will be on the street, which makes you more susceptible to having who knows what happened to you. It's a really simple equation here, where if this person is not willing to assist you with basic utilities, living expenses, they also shouldn't take something from you as well. That's why I say blank to the status quo. These people say they care about you and pretend to care, but whenever it comes to the time to help or show that they care, they turn a blind eye. Yes, they do. I mean, Rev, you and I had many conversations about these oh so wonderful relatives. I never told you about the one that when I mentioned to him, hey, if you care so much, why do I have to pay for my own food, right? Or like, just why is such a basic thing that I need something that you can't you just will not assist. He said one of the dumbest things I ever heard a person say before ever. Just because the person doesn't care for you in the particular ways in which you would prefer, I just roll my. The translation of that is, I only care about you in ways that are convenient to me. Hey, you need this thing to survive. Well, it's not convenient for me, so just go die. And like I said, these people will never be accountable for anything that they do wrong. Um, Relatives that says they miss me so much, all they have to do is say, hey, you know what? I shouldn't have charged all this money. Just come back. I just want you to return. I want to make sure you're okay. But that's why I left. I knew that no matter how much stuff I had to pay the bank every month, they were always going to stick their hand out for some coins because that's all they care about. Stuffing their own pockets. And they don't care how they get it. Just like I mentioned that the week I left, I looked on the schedule for my job and they were only giving me 2 shifts. And I was like, there's no way I can squeeze the money of $300 and stuff for the bank and then also like just basic living stuff out of 2 shifts a week. And I said, okay, well, I guess I just have to go. Now, of course, this was something I didn't know at the time. My job started giving me more hours afterward. In fact, the week after this one, they're giving me 6 days, which I still can't believe. But I said very simply when that thing happened last year, when I was homeless, uh, it was brought on by this person asking an unemployed individual to pay half a thousand a month. And it's like, okay, maybe you could do it for the first month, but when you get to that second, that third, that fourth, and then you just run out of money, what's going to happen then? They're going to tell you get out of my house, and you're going to be on the street, and then some, more susceptible to that. Like you're just delaying the inevitable because their belief is that, oh yeah, you can just get a job, but the reality is you can't. I mean, I'll never forget April of last year, the sheer terror of just driving to all these different stupid cities and filling out all these dumb applications and sitting up in front of all these interviews and just having nothing progress. Yeah, I mean, if you care, you should at least provide food. They should be the bare minimum for anybody. I mean, I can understand if asking for a new desktop PC or laptop or new car or even home and they say blank off and that's clearly not the dude. Like, let me just say this to you. I'm supposed to believe a person who can always squeeze out the money to go to a different country every year, uh, and who can afford to both buy a dog and buy food for it, which is something that only happened after I was staying with them, cannot assist me with any basic utility. I'm really supposed to like just believe that, like just go, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude, it's funny because I remember when that college thing happened, 5 years ago, right? And just all the lies of, oh, it's college is so expensive. It was like 30,000. It got cut by more than half to 12,000. They didn't want to pay it. And I said, like, how is it that we went from people telling me that they couldn't help me to pay thousands of dollars for school to now they can't even help me to pay $10 for food or 30 for I mean it's just reached the point of self-parody. It's greediness at its finest. It's greediness, but it's also just like a blatant lack of concern for the humanity of the person they claim to care about so much. Again, we care about you in ways that are convenient to us. You know, I mean, you probably don't know how frustrating it is, but like, Rev, imagine you work a job, and let's say you get paid maybe 1,000. Hell, let's just say you get paid 1,500 a month. Okay, let's just pretend that's the base number, even though it could be lower than that if they cut your hours, whatever. Let's say you get paid 1,500 a month, and you're like, oh man, I got some money. This is great. I work all these hours. I drive this far distance. I sometimes am tired as hell from just getting home late and having to come back there early. But hey, at least I got my money. Minus 700 to the banks. That's already almost half of it. Now you have 800, and then minus 300 from that relative, right? Sticking their hand out. So that's minus that. Now you only have 500, and then minus anywhere from 2 to 300 because of your basic utilities that you need, like food and gas. So by the end of the month, after you've worked for close to $2,000, you end up only pocketing maybe 100, 200 left over. Like it's nuts. It was insane. And they really thought I would just keep putting up with that month after it was that way from January to May, and I just got sick of it. Again, when does it stop? I feel you because I'm kind of experiencing a similar thing right now. Well, you have my condolences. It is a nightmare to because I've always said that the point of having a job, like the actual point, right, is you should be able to take care of yourself. And if in getting a job you still can't do that, then there's something wrong with either the job itself or the circumstance that you're in. Like it really drove me insane that you worked all those hours just to have all the money get pocketed by the bank or this greedy relative. Like it was nuts to me, and I just couldn't take it anymore. At a certain point, it's just when does it stop? These ads. No, it just has to be some quality control. You can't expect someone to just keep giving all of this effort and not receiving any reward from it. I mean, if you really think about it, that is slavery. Yeah, you're doing all of this work for nothing. Like I made the video, I work for nothing because that's what it turned into, where you are working all of these hours and you are barely making it. Every cent is going to this stuff that you see no benefit from. It's pointless. And that's one of the reasons why I said I don't I simply don't have the patience to put up with my job trying to like cheat me out of money with their nerfing of discounts, you know? Like if something was $11 and then you try to bump it to 17, I'm going to go somewhere else to get something to eat, you know? They've done that 3 times and last Wednesday will be the last time. I hope it was worth it. Their corporate greed. Well, I said it's funny because when they do this stuff, they think that they're gonna like turn up their profits, but they also make the mistake of assuming that every person that they treat this way is going to put up with things being, changed. Like there are some people, myself included, that will say, "Hey, you know what? Why would I pay them 17 for 2 items when I can go to the place up the street and get 3 items for 15?" Like, what sense does it make? Hell, even if I was still staying at the other place, I probably would still like drive over here because it's only like a few miles to like go and get that food from there and then go to the actual job later. Like I'm it's so easy to just eat at other places and get about the same amount of food or even more for cheaper prices. Serious, this stuff is just not sustainable. It used to be that you could get free food that they were going to throw out until they got, evil and decided that we couldn't have any of it anymore. Even though so just good food goes to waste, right? And then okay, well I guess I'll pay to eat here and then oh well, you thought your thing meant this but it actually doesn't. They're jerks. No, Rev, I was explaining this before you showed up. There's no reason to not let the employees eat food that you're throwing away other than just pure villainy, like mustache twirling anime villain antagonism. That's the only explanation for it. I mean, if you're gonna dump it, you might as well give it away. Mm-mm, not for them. Nope. They'd rather throw away perfectly good food than let their employees eat it. That's how much they despise the people that make their little horrendous business even operate. Think how crazy it is. They'd rather feed the dumpster than feed the people that work for them. And you're gonna tell me that's not psychotic and crazy and nuts and backwards and another showing of just how demented and twisted these places are and the people that run them are. Hey, people that work for me, you want some food that we're not going to be giving, we're not going to be using anyway? Too bad. But man, reading that thing with that relative just it brings there's a part of me that is becoming more and more convinced that some of these people, I'm not even going to try, like, I don't do the whole psychologist thing, but some of these people have almost a genuine defect where they'll get into a habit of doing something. And even if you break it down, even if you explain to them, hey, listen, this is why this happened, They just can't see it. Like, I've made this clear to multiple, I guess, spectators, observers, hell, even on here. The reason for that separation was you're paying all this stuff to two different entities. One of them you have to pay. The other one is this person just, squeezing money out of you. So you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll just pay the one that I have to pay. And even with that as the reason that has been given to multiple people, it is still being stated by this person, it was your choice to leave. It was your choice to leave. I'm like, like, idiot, do you not know that, like, are we really supposed to pretend that this was just a thing I picked? Like, yes. It's, oh, man, I tell you. Because as I said before, if you don't pay the money that this person wants, they're going to throw you out, and then you'll be on the street, and then I guess you'll just die. So it doesn't, like, that's why I said, like, it doesn't matter. The only alternative was to just keep holding out month after month and having less and less money until you can't even afford to get yourself a damn burger from the fast food place up the street. I said it doesn't make any sense in this world of rules and laws that a person who works a job sometimes 4 days a week, 5 days a week, is afraid that they're going to run out of money when they never were afraid of that before. It doesn't make any sense. I couldn't believe it. I said, here you are working this job and you have less resources. It's not because you went out and bought stuff you didn't need. Literally, no assistance with anything from the group that loves you so much, supposedly. Yeah, and I can explain. I mean, at least kind of, they don't want to give it away because they know people will take advantage of them and ask for more, but they're complete dumb blanks because if they actually did that, their workers would actually be more satisfied and productive, would improve, less toxic work environments, and more trust and loyalty with the company and workers. Well, yeah, because the idea behind a company is always it's us versus them in terms of like, hey, we're on a team, we're doing stuff together. Um, Not trying to turn this into a political thing, but that's one of the reasons why I like Master of the Senate by Robert Caro so much about LBJ's year as the Senate Majority Leader, because in this 1,000-page epic, he relates various examples of leadership, of working with different personalities and giving them incentives to want to do something right. You go and you, as a senator, you know what this person's needs are for their particular state. Uh, and when you contrast that with how these employers are, they want the benefits, right? Just like how Johnson wanted the benefits of having this united Democratic caucus, right? They want that benefit, but they don't want to put in the actual things you need to do to be able to ensure that happens. So again, like with Johnson, how he would try and compromise, figure out what people wanted, understand what they were, what their motivations were, etc. These people, on the other hand, are not interested in doing any of that. They just want to like have their employees show up, clock in, do the stuff that they want them to do, and then get out. And yeah, there's no incentive for productivity because you treat the people that are on your team, on your side, like trash. Just like I'm sure if I could go there and still get free food, hey, okay, guys, make sure there's. Can you guys tell me that the food will be, there's going to be some food left over at whatever time we close? I probably would be more productive. I probably wouldn't be so. I got to go in here again for 4 hours, 5 hours. Because even when I was just getting like the discount, okay, well, I would show up, I eat my food, go outside, read a book, whatever, and then start the work. Energy. I wouldn't have to go. Okay, well, let me look on the schedule to see if this particular jerk manager is there, or some other. Rev, I'm telling you, if you watch the Johnson documentary, you see things. You learn a lot. But no, I always like last year and just reading Master of the Senate and seeing how people like managers at this place are, you really can tell a lot of these people did not get their position because they have the best leadership skills, because they're able to like actually diffuse situations or manage the different personalities that they're in charge of. It's just I can count money or I had seniority. I mean, it's there is nothing redeeming about these supposed, you know, leadership abilities of these clowns. Like they're managers in name only. Yeah, I think I've watched once and I loved every bit of it. Well, I'm glad you watched. I just wish you would leave some comments too. Boosted the algorithm. I mean, whatever, because it's already getting like more attention than most of my stuff does anyway. So but I if you did see it, I would at least like you leave a comment because I didn't know if you'd seen it or not. I know I left you a link to it at one point because I'm so used to everybody going, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it eventually, and then month after month like nothing. So even though I was like, oh, he's probably not gonna watch whatever. But no, a lot of these people don't have any ability to show like effective leadership. They want the rewards, but they're not going to put in the effort. What the hell would it cost this company? Like really think about this million something dollar company. What would it cost them to let one of their employees, who they already won't even like get free food anymore, pay half off on two of something instead of half off on one and full price on the other? Like, why is $7 such a big deal for them? I know why it's a big deal for me because I don't have any support from anybody, and if I fall, then that's it, right? There is no like person I can go to and they'll assist me and make sure I don't die, right? Like I get why it's a big deal for me, but it like why is this company so dead set on don't let them get two of something entirely half off? Because they're greedy jerks. The only reason they won't let people get the food that they were already going to throw out anyway is because they're greedy jerks. Everything just comes down to either greed or just a parasitic relationship with their own employees, their own people. It's corporate greed mixed with hubristic behavior and pure selfishness. I'm not kidding, Rev. Sometimes I just close my eyes and I imagine these relatives. Like I imagine a world where, because I've never been against working, right? Like I've never been opposed to just working a job. I've always been afraid actually of the hire to fire thing where these places they hire you, they get mad over something dumb, and then they get rid of you after like 2-3 weeks, right? I got tired of that pipeline. But I've never been someone who's against working. But just like imagine, okay, relatives, guardians, parents, etc. Hey, I got to go to this job and it's 30 miles away. Oh, it's 30 miles away and it's 380 something. It's like $3 a gallon. Oh, okay. Well, hey, I'm guardian one and you're guardian two. Let's both give him 15 so he can have gas to go to his job. Oh, you might need some food for your job this week, right? Okay, well, it's like 11 to get two of something. Okay, well, I'll give you because let's see, it's if there's a whole week that's like $50, right? Okay, I'll give you 25 and this other person will give you 25. So we'll both pitch in 40 each this week for you to have money for gas and food so you can go and work your job and not have any like of this stuff as a thing of, oh, why be able to do this? But again, they don't think of it that way. They don't and just like let's continue this fantasy, right? Like they give you the 80 for gas and food, and then oh, your job is saying that uh you're not doing the work good enough or whatever. Well, hey, if they fire you, don't worry, you still got somewhere to stay. We're proud of you. You worked this place for this many months. If they can't see that's on them. This isn't going to be the end of you just because this place because one of the reasons I'm so afraid of like quitting from here is I don't want to go through the process of trying to apply to a place and then all the like hoop to hoop stuff of going to the interview, they're not interested, applying, go to the interview, they're not interested, and they are start working somewhere, and after like 2-3 weeks they throw. I don't want to go through it again. So that's the one thing this place to other places, the stability, even if the hours fluctuate so damn much. Um, and Rev, you wrote that's part of the reason why I'm so pro union and anti corporate corruption greed. Yeah, I'm pro union as well. But again, just indulge me in this fantasy. So they give you the $80 for food and gas, and 80 sounds like a lot to ask for one person, even if these people work as well and they make more money than me. One of them even has a job where they make like 40 something an hour, apparently, allegedly. Uh, but if they split it between them and it's 40 per week, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's really hurting them that much. Dude, I'll never forget. You'll love this. I don't know if you're familiar with Zelle, but it's like this little stupid app that people pay each other with. And I was like looking through my old messages a few days ago, and I saw where last year one of my relatives, actually the very same one that started this whole thing of me being homeless last year, sent me $600, and I was like, wait a second, I know as sure as the sky is blue that this person has never given me 1 cent for anything I actually need, right? Like they've never directly given me money. They've never assisted me with paying for food or just so I know, I was like, this can't be. But then I remembered they did send me 600, but it wasn't for me or anything. It was so they could use my card, my credit card, or I guess my debit card rather, to buy themselves some flip flops, some shoes. Now, dude, let me think about this. Think about this. They have 600 for a pair of shoes, but not but no money to help you with gas or food. Tell you, I live in the twilight zone, man. Everything is so backwards. Up is down, down is up. Man, they are all playing that game, I tell you. No, when I saw that 600, I was like, I know they've never sent me money before. I know that. I got confused. I thought maybe I was seeing some that didn't exist or it identified the wrong person, but no, I remembered what it was over. Okay, review wrote getting turned on over. Oh, getting turned over and over again. I mean, it was already hell to even get applied, so I can understand why you wouldn't want to go through that again. I mean, I remember vividly the attempt to even get hired over here. I had to apply to 30 positions at locations that were all over the place. And over the course of, I think it was a week or 2 weeks, I had 5 different locations tell me to come in for interviews. And one day I even had 3 interviews. It was just me driving to all the different locations. And it was during the one I had with them where they hired me, which surprised me because I'd never been hired during an interview before. I didn't believe it because it just seemed too good to be true. But lo and behold, here I am 10 months later, 9 months later rather. No, the application process is the worst part of trying to work somewhere because so many places, if they're not having you fill out some generic, slip sheet of information, they're having you make an application and what jobs have you had in the past. If you don't have a job in the past, were let go of by somewhere, you're not going to put that you were fired, of course. So it's such a convoluted mess. And then these interviews where they smile on your face, tell me about yourself. And then, of course, nothing comes out of that either. just again, at a certain point, it gets to be too obnoxious, and that's a big motivation for me not wanting to try to go anywhere else at this point because I really am worried about having to do that again, and also if the place that hires you is even going to keep you for more than a few weeks. This one subverted the hire to fire scheme, right? But I'm sure other places are still doing that, still bringing in new people to get rid of them 2, 3 weeks later when they make one mistake. And again, I just don't have the patience. And this is not the same era of 2 years ago where there was that safety net where there were actually people that gave a damn about me. So it's not a thing I'm really willing to play with. Stuff just gets so weird, man. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be so quick on jumping ship, especially when you don't know what you might get from doing so. Yeah, and that's why I brought up the relative thing because there are people who, like they have these miners that work there, for example. And with them, they don't. This is not make or break for them. If they quit this job, they're not going to have to worry about, oh my God, how am I going to pay for my gas, or am I going to be able to get anything to eat next week? It's not make or break. They have their parents that are going to come and help them and make sure that they're all right. But for some of us, it's not the case. If I don't know if you still use Discord, but I would actually send you something that is like funny about those accounts. There's something that they're doing that they don't even know is like actually kind of amusing. Serious, like they have no idea they're doing it either is the part that I just think is comedic. He's like, whoops, oops, I didn't mean it. I think people like they do stuff and they don't know the split effect. I mean, the job has the same thing where they think that whole like, nerfing discount thing is going to get them more money. But if I protest about just not eating there anymore, then when that lady said, "Why didn't you order your two whatever like you do every day of your life?" It's like, girl, I didn't even know you guys existed until last year when I was assisting someone who didn't have a car with going to work, and they like told me about. I was like, "Hey, there ain't good food place around here," and they mentioned them. Like, it's just funny because like they've been such a minor, or I guess rather recent part of my existence that there was like a whole just years of not even being aware that they were a thing because there's just nothing. They really think somebody needs them. Like, no, maybe we might need you for a job, but in terms of like Oh, I need to eat here? No. Oh man, they are delusional. They're like that girl from the Discord video. Oh, you're hurt because of blank rejected you. I'm like, rejected what? No, I wouldn't date you if you were the last broad on earth. Go away. Oh man, people they really like think they're bigger, like a bigger deal than they are. Like, man, I'll tell you when I did my everything started crumbling video, and I had that one like molecule splitter clown write the comments about get out there and win. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Because with that particular video, I didn't even put because like most of those weird guys come on the woman stuff, right? You put woman in the title or something with woman, they'll just show up, just like they'll spawn like Cybermen, right? They'll just appear out of nowhere, out of the ground. But with that video, it was like about stuff in general not being good and how lousy a lot of that was. How there were these people that if they helped you, things would be significantly better, and they have the ability, they just don't care. And he was the only one. I'm not kidding. Like most of the stuff, again, gets swarmed by these weird guys on this woman stuff. He was the only one that came on that video writing some weird antagonist. Like when I saw that comment, I just wanted to vomit. And I was like, I have to do a video about it. It's so stupid. It's a paragraph of someone looking to like besmirch you and talk trash about you, but then also leave out the parts that would, if taken in fairness, not make you look bad. Like I said, it's pure hubristic behavior, narcissism, and sociopathic behavior. Serious. When I saw that comment, I said, you know what? I'm not letting this one stand. So I just couldn't put up with it. I said, you know what? People they write dumb stuff online. They feel like they're gods when they get behind these keyboards, right? They can just come on here and pretend they're. I said weird men and their fake success because I refuse to believe that that guy has achieved anything to where he should be able to tell somebody else to get out there and win. Like, what does that even mean? It's just more nebulous crap. When they get behind these keyboards, they just the power starts surging through them. It's like when Thor gets his hammer, they just it just goes up. I mean, it's crazy. I'm getting a little hungry. I do have some stuff I can eat though. So when I go over here, I'm reminded I live in the zoo where there's you hear the rooster and the dogs and the cats and all the other animals just at whatever hour of the morning. But no, I find the whole thing just to be really sad. because I believe that people should help each other if they claim to care about each other. I had one relative who was, I guess, worried about going to the doctor alone, right, of dizziness, and I went with him, and uh, the only aversion I have to ever doing something like that is if it's a day where I work. I just can't physically be there because of the preordained schedule of the job. But I'm just saying sometimes you don't have to even spend money to just do something to assist someone. Like, how much does it cost to sit down with a person that you claim you're so bothered by not having a job, and for a day or maybe even 2 days, just apply for stuff with them or help them to make a resume? I mean, it's sad that they've they've convinced themselves that it's okay for them to just do nothing. See, I've always said I'm not a person who enjoys having people I don't like, people I don't get along with. Um, and there has been a legitimate effort on my part. Like, I'm not talking about this stupid computer stuff. People come on here and they write weird things, whatever. It is what it is. But there's been effort on my part in real life to make an attempt, even if you're not successful, with just getting along with people, ask me how they're doing. Um, but sometimes it's hard to even do that. I mean, I have this one girl at my job where she'll say, "What's up?" to me. I'll say, "How are you?" And then she'll say, "Shut up." I mean, it's like it's that insane. There are people that just have something wrong with them. That you can try as hard as you might to just be cordial and decent, and you will still get that fist to the stomach. We bring up the coworker thing quite a bit, but I'm very sincere in stating that it was such a uniquely lousy situation to have some person who you convinced yourself liked you, actually wanted to speak to you. And when you made the attempt of trying to become closer with this person, or just, hey, let's go see a movie together, it blew up spectacularly in your face. And I know that it didn't have to be that way because I've had multiple other people from that same job that I'll go, "Hey, how are you doing?" And nothing bad has happened. Um, so it's just so frustrating, even now, to just think about how, man, I really reached out to them in a way I normally do not, and they made sure they made sure I would live to regret it. They ensured that. But again, going back to like how, and it keeps up that same stagnant theme, right? Everything just stays the same. Oh yeah, you're gonna go and become friends with somebody from the job. Yeah, right. And then you get the whole like plot twist stuff, and then her standing me up to go see the movie, and then later on the antagonism that develops. But I said, what's crazy to me, right? Just like the thing that just still, I'm like, okay, this is nuts, is the idea that, like, if you just picture this, just close your eyes, just imagine. You go see this movie with this person. Maybe they like the movie, maybe they don't. Maybe they like that you're speaking when the movie's playing. Maybe they want you to talk more. Whatever would have happened. But you go to see this movie with this person, probably 2 hours, hour and a half. And if she doesn't like it, she never has to do it again, and that would be completely fine with me. You tried, you made an attempt, and if it didn't work out, it is what it is. But if she did like it, which if I'm being positive, let's say that she did, you could do this again once a month, once every 6 weeks, maybe the next week if she wants to. I mean, it goes back to this idea of like, think of how much better things could be if people just acted and treated you like a human being. Think of how much better stuff would be if those around you, those who you're forced to see every couple of days, every few days, or even every day, just showed a modicum of hospitality and honesty. Rev, do you want to go see a movie with me? No. Okay. That's all she had to say. And I wouldn't have done anything retaliated because I've been turned down for stuff before by people. It's nothing that, bothers me to any great deal. But instead, we had this convoluted 2-month saga that left me never wanting to try anything with that, at least with a woman ever again. Like I could have lost everything if she got her way. I mean, these are just some people they're just some people you can't get along with no matter how hard you try because how much of a piece of blank that they are, that's more on them, not you. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Right. I'm just explaining that things would be so much better if people just got along. They don't have to be best friends. They don't have to sit there and go, "Hey, what's up?" And none of that. But like, how are you? Because I mentioned that at my job. A lot of the managers won't even say hello to you. Like they'll only speak to you if they want you to do something. Hey, can you go take this out? Hey, can you grab this? Hey, can you clean this up? Hey, can you pour this out? Hey, can you? I mean, it really does feel like you don't even register as a thing that exists unless they want a body to just you know operate from like control you like a marionette. We'll go over here, clean this. Okay, we'll comply. Yes, yes. I mean, I'm serious. Like a lot of these managers do not view their fellow employees as people because they can't even do you the basic courtesy of saying, "Hey, how are you?" Even if they don't mean it. Just like, "Hey, how are you doing? Hey, I haven't seen you in a few days." I had a guy, I hadn't seen him in I think 3 or 4 weeks. Because they schedule me days where he's not there, days where I'm here. They, not there. They schedule him, but whatever. But I saw him and I said, "Oh man," and I gave him this big greeting in terms of just, "Hey, how you, I'm like, act like just at least feign some enthusiasm towards seeing somebody you haven't seen in a while." Um, and even again, like even something as small as that little 1 minute, 2 minute interaction, that's positive and pleasant. At least it's nice. At least the people who work there are actually trying to have a rapport with each other. They don't have to be best damn friends, but just, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?" Just something like that is just too much for these jerks to be able to register. Every person should have some mutualism in them. You shouldn't have to go somewhere where you can't even talk to someone. There is such a thing as working relationships and being cordial. You can't even get that. I guarantee you, I could go to my job. I'm supposed to go back tomorrow. And out of all the managers that are there, maybe two will say, "How are you?" or "Hi." These people will walk past you, in some cases, 10 or 20 times a day, and just nothing. Dude, like imagine if you like just let's say you work somewhere and you're in this one spot for 4 or 5 hours straight, right? And people are just walking by. Maybe you look on your side and you can see because it's a small hallway, and they just won't say anything to you. Like not the the only exception being when they want something. Never, "Hey Rev." They go, "Rev, can you take this? Can you sweep this? Can you clean this? Can you chew this?" Just like I mean, they don't care. You're nothing. You might as well be like a living ghost. I'm serious. Like they treat people who are right in front of them like they can't see them. And I told you I have a pretty good memory. I keep track of who says hi and who doesn't. It's always the same like couple people that say hello, and then the rest of these jerks. Just awful, like horrendous. But again, imagine having a work environment. Like I'm gonna close my eyes again. Imagine having this work environment where when you show up, people say hello. They ask you how you're doing. Besides one or two of them, they like most of them ask you how you're doing. And when they later come and say, "Hey, can you give me this? Can you give me that?" They might say thank you. When they leave, they say goodbye. Um, and even if you and these people are not close to each other, just a greeting and a farewell can go a long way in establishing a rapport, a dialogue, a communication. But even something like that is too much for them because none of that is normal social behavior that you just. Oh, I mean, if you really think about it, I think those people themselves don't even want to be there. Like, their lives are so blank beyond the point. That's why they're not able to engage socially because none of that is normal social behavior that you just. Yeah, they don't. They just like say nothing to you. And like, even if you want to say it, the regular employees doing that makes sense because of the whole aspect of like, I'm screwed, right? What's the justification for the managers doing that? If they're making more money than the rest of us, shouldn't they be happy? Shouldn't they be, jumping and dancing? I mean, you would think, you would imagine, right? Like, hey, if if they're the ones who have to run the place, have to talk to us to get us to do things, couldn't they at least say hello when we come in? Hey, how you doing? Like, that's tough. That's hard. That's complex. That's a difficult thing for them to do. Really? For real? Seriously? Are you kidding me? Oh man. Yeah, I agree. It obviously isn't right when people are miserable and desperate. Oh, well, yeah. I know you just retracted it, but people should not be that way. They shouldn't be miserable. Going like, listen, I know with jobs, there's the whole like trope of we don't like the job we have, or there's a part where we don't like whatever. And there are parts of my job I do not like. I can assure you of that. But I pledge to you every time I go there, I try to have a good attitude. I try to smile. I try to have my little greetings with the various people that are actually willing to treat me in a way that's nice. And I do that because it's already miserable, like just dealing with the stuff with family and sometimes even the stuff on here. So when I go into one of these controlled environments, I don't want to contribute to it being a bad place for the people that are also there who are also just trying to make a living. Um, that's one of the reasons why, again, that coworker thing bothered me so much because you would I've always assumed that people who work like they and especially they work the same job, they know the rigors of having to deal with customers and managers that are like pressuring you to do something fast, and there we'd be more understanding of each other than someone who's not initiated, who's not part of the system. Like, my coworkers theoretically should understand me better as an employee than my parents or my brother, or some other relative, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent. Like, they should be the ones who are the most susceptible to saying, "Oh yeah, man, you had to do this. Are you all right? Hey, how you doing?" But instead, you get this, instead of getting people who try to actually like just level with you as a person, you get the knife to the chest. You get the girl who smiles in your face, asks you how you're doing, pretends like she wants to get to know you, etc., but can't half respond to a text message, and stands you up when you go to see the movie, who plays around with your emotions week after week until you get sick of it and lightly tease her. And her way of retaliating is to say, if you don't want to talk to me anymore, you can't have a job anymore either. It's just it's screwed up. They're just demons, man. Like, I'm serious. But between having coworkers who can try to get you in trouble and like fired and having no job for like it could be standing next to them. It could be uh you know again, lightly teasing. Oh, he called me a name. One girl said she wanted to report some guy for calling her a leprechaun. Between having coworkers who will try to destroy you, try to get you out of a job over light teasing or saying something they don't like, or standing next or something stupid, and these managers and upper people that want to try to cheat you out of either getting free food or getting food at a not ridiculous price. It just seems like there is a constant surge of antagonism that just really should not be there. Like, you should not clock into a job and go, "Oh, I can't wait for another one of these bastards to say I made them feel uncomfortable because, that's the only thing I know how to do," or try to get me in trouble for smiling at them, or try to stop me from getting a discount on some food that they told me I had a discount on before they started changing the rules every 5 seconds. Yay! That shouldn't be a thing that is known to you as just a thing that just will happen. Like, you will just go to your job and be miserable because you have to see this particular person, or this thing they might ask you to do that they'll put you with this other person will make it even harder. I mean, it shouldn't be that way. Again, I'm just imagining how much better the job. You just close my eyes. You come in to your shift. You clock in. Hey, how are you? One of the managers will ask you. Say fine, whatever. Maybe you're not fine, but you say it anyway. Just for the sake of pleasantry. And after you say fine, you put your stuff on and start cleaning stuff. Other ones who walk past, hey, how you doing? What's up, etc. And maybe during the shift it could be, let's say, 5-7 hours long. You get a break, and then when you get your break, you're like, "Oh, I want to order something," and then you go to order your thing. You order two of something so that when you can eat now, and then you can have something for later when you get home, because by the time you get home all the places are usually closed. And they swipe the thing, and then you get your stuff half off. It was 20 something, now it's 11. You're like, all right, cool, whatever. And then you pay your thing, and then you go to eat your stuff, and then you come back and you do the work. People, if they haven't seen you before that, they come up to you, they say hello, like, hey, how you doing? They just basic pleasantry, and then you do the work that's asked. Maybe you don't do it as good as they would like, but you try, and then you get to come home and rest, and just feel like you were in an environment that wasn't so toxic and nasty and ready to throw you over a bridge. Like, I've had two different girls that have asked me what my name is, and my first response is to ask, "Are you going to report me?" Because I like that's how, like, one of them, even one of the managers, like, even said I was paranoid because look at what happened to me. I mean, it's not correlate. It's not a coincidence that uh, the person who you tried to be the friendliest to, tried to throw you off a bridge. I mean, it's just that's the reality of it. Stuff like that will leave you paranoid. especially if it's never happened before. When people are miserable and desperate or are going through something the way the very people that would be genuinely really good people turn to become the biggest dirt bags under set circumstances. Hence, the reason to all these problems is economic and big government intervening in everything. All these issues you are now talking about, the majority of the problems people are having to do with these reasons I just displayed. I don't think big government is causing this. I think corporations treating their employees like crap and the lack of power of unions is something that I'd attribute it to. I don't work for the government. The government doesn't make them try to cheat their custom their own people, their own employees out of $7 when they order two of something, or this is all regular laissez-faire, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, jerks. Like just this is what they do when they're operating in the free market. They look for ways to cut the middleman, cut corners, squeeze some more pennies out of people. Tell you, people are awful. And I said before, I don't like not speaking to relatives, right? I don't like just having nothing to do with 99% of them, right? Um, but the truth is that at a certain point, when you just go through the fears of paying for this, paying for that, and you see people who are completely fine with not aiding you whatsoever, you do get cynical, you do get angry, you do start to feel like all this stuff about love and I care about you and I'm concerned about you was all just a lie. Because if they were so concerned, see, it's very important to note that the ones that I'm talking about, like one of them, does the whole like I'm poor thing. The other one I know could assist. They just don't care. You're nothing to them. That's the actual reason they want help. You are nothing. And um in the past year and a half of us not speaking, I don't exactly know what their game plan is. They get to just retreat into their corner and say nothing to me and expect me to just, I guess, still have a positive opinion of them somehow. I was thinking about when I did my unfinished stream or at the parking ticket, and I thought it was so ridiculous because when you have to park somewhere and there's like a lot of cars and you're just trying to park somewhere so you could go in your job and make a little bit of money, and then you come outside and you see something that eats up like half the damn money you made. It just feels like taking one step forward, like two steps forward and one back, literally. But I was thinking about it and I said, if we go back to what I stated earlier about if relatives actually cared, again, closing my eyes, just imagine, hey, you had a parking ticket from going to your job. Oh man, I'm sorry. Are well, look, you've never had one before, so this thing's like what, 50 something dollars. I'll pitch in 26 or 27, and then this other person give 27, and it'll be done. It'll be all right. Again, even something as minor as that goes a long way. And I've explained before, these computer guys, they come and they write their weird stuff, but um or I'll read Rev's comment and I'll make my point. Yeah, well, the government's supposed to be managing the corporations from doing these acts, but they don't because they're just another tool for the corporation politicians, the most cronies, and bought and paid for pieces of don't have integrity to do what's right for the country and the people. Um, I mean, I guess I'm just explaining that even if the corporations are being allowed to just run however they like, the people that run these corporations don't have to be the way that they are, especially because remember, we're not talking about some guys sitting in a boardroom just going, fire these people, fire that many people, fire that person, fire this person. We're talking about managers who like physically work around you, who are like seeing you repeatedly, and they treat you that way. Remember, this is not the board of jerks in ties and suits going get rid of 10,000 people tomorrow so we can save $5 or whatever. We're talking about people who like they're employees too. They work in this restaurant or in this business whatever, and they would sooner side with the corporation by screwing their fellow employee out of $7 than standing with them. Hey, all right, whatever, you can get your little thing off, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like they'd sooner do that because the greed, man, the greed and the trying to cover their own backside. Like, no joke, these jobs could do something completely insane. Like, let's say a job decides tomorrow they don't want you to wear glasses. Okay. Now, of course, I need my glasses to see right when I drive. Their prescription. But like just on a hypothetical, let's pretend that because I guess I wouldn't theoretically need my glasses to do my job, but I still, I mean, I have them on because, I might lose my phone somewhere else. But let's say they decide tomorrow, this corporation, no employees can wear glasses anymore. That's it. That's over. Now, if you come to your manager and you say, "Hey, look, I need my glasses to see, to be able to look at stuff," when they're just left to their own vices, there's a good chance they probably will let you wear your glasses. Whatever. It's just something they need, or whatever. But then when that big boss shows up, you better take your glasses off because as much as they may like you or pretend to like you, as long as they can cover their own backside, they will pick that over you any day of the week. They will go along with any insane choice made by one of these garbage, worthless, scum of the earth corporations. Well, I think it's fascism to throw out perfectly good food instead of giving it to your employees. If you know you're not going to use it anymore, there's no reason to do that other than just being evil. Like they're telling us that we are worthless or worth less than garbage. That's why they'd rather feed the trash can than feed us. Think of that. They'd rather feed an inanimate object with food than go, oh yeah, you guys want some of this stuff we made? Yeah, whatever. Remember, they're not going to make any money off of this food. So them not letting us have it is just being jerks. Dude, my favorite guy, I think I mentioned that there's a guy that would throw the trash out with me, and he would eat the food out of the bags. And like this is food that is I'm a like I wouldn't do it because I don't feel comfortable eating something that way, especially when you're taking up because whatever. But like this is stuff that I know is still good because it was just made like in the past few hours. Um, but I remember when I was when he told me that if they're gonna have me taking out this stuff, I might as well get a reward for it. And I was like, yeah, there's obviously no excuse or justification for that at all. But I'm saying that like that's why the managers make me sick because some of them know this is stupid, but to cover their own backside, they will go along with it. And it gets so ridiculous because it's like, you want me to believe that the higher up manager is checking to see on video if you let one person have take home some fries? Like, are you serious? No, they're not. Unless they're physically there, you can pretty much do whatever you want in terms of like just letting people get off with certain things and they won't catch it. I don't want to talk to Jim. He keeps trolling me. I'm getting sick of all that nonsense with him. Jim is persona non grata. Yeah, I was like I'm determined next documentary is probably gonna be Nixon Part Two because I have most of the script written for it. I was hoping I could finish it this week, but I don't think I will because of the job. I'm trying to finish it before I get that 6 day week because at that point it's gonna be really hard to do anything besides go up there and work. But after that, I'll probably do Johnson Part Seven. I was hoping to be able to do that this month because it is his birthday in 3 days, but I can't make no damn 2 hour video in a few days. My favorite comment that Jem ever made were when he was like, "Where are your parents? Why aren't you with them?" I was just laughing. I'm like, dude, if you really believe just because somebody has two living parents that they're gonna be okay, or that if they just go to them, they'll be all right. I have a bridge to sell you. Oh man, it was funny. I was like, come on, give me a break. I thought he was trolling. I thought he was practicing for an SNL skit. Where are your parents? Why aren't you with them? I said, man, come on. Whatever. People just they believe what they want to believe and they see what they want to see. That's all I can say. No, I get where, we all want to believe that there's always that person that'll just swoop in and save the day, but some of us really do not have that. That was a sincere question. I had no history on you back then. Well, I'm just saying, I thought it was funny because people don't care. Like, it doesn't matter if you're their son, their nephew, their cousin. If they don't think they can get something out of you financially, you might as well just go die. There are some people who can create life and have no regard for it. Now, of course, I don't have any kids, so I couldn't imagine, doing something like that. But there are some people in this world that just will do not care. Yeah, well, they can justify it to themselves any way they want. Um, I mentioned the one relative that said just because someone doesn't care for you in the particular ways in which you would prefer, and then the other one who talks about how poor they are, but then somehow they can afford to go to a different country every year and buy a dog and buy food for the dog. And just lies, right? Just blatant lies. And I said, the only recourse I can think of is just keep working my job and, you know, scraping by whatever pennies I can get off here and, you know, just attempting to do my own thing. It's unfortunate that the people who should be there for you are not, but it is what it is. And they've never exactly been good at doing being able to take care of their own responsibilities. That's why the one that was supposed to pay the phone bill didn't pay it. They've done this repeatedly. They did this last year. This is just the first time they've done this since I was working. So I was really afraid of like having to drive 30 miles and not being able to like remember what streets to go on. I have the freeway route memorized, but those surface streets, I just didn't want to risk it. So I took the freeway. They can buy new cars, but they can't remember to pay their phone bill. Figure that one out. Dogs are expensive to maintain. It's even worse because the person tried to lie and say they got it for free, and then the person that they got money from to pay for it told me that it was, I believe, 700. And then, of course, all the different pads and food for it is probably some, adds on as time passes. And I thought to myself, they bought this dog back in, I think it was December. Very late last year, November, December, and I said, "Isn't it sad or crazy that the same people who won't give you 1 cent for gas, for food, somehow they can extol all crazy amounts of money for stuff that they want?" Like, Jem, before you showed up, I told the story of this, how this same relative, I looked on my phone and I remembered how they Zelled me. Zelle is the money app, right? They Zelled me $600 last year. And I forgot about this to where I thought maybe I was like misremembering something, but they Zelled me $600 last year so that they could use my debit card to buy some flip flops. So between the $600 shoes and the $700 dog, and them continuing to say that they can't assist me with paying for anything, I'm not really convinced. Well, look, I mean, it's the same thing with the other one. No assistance, but somehow able to buy a new car and uh dude, like I haven't bought a new pair of shoes that aren't work related, which you can get for like 20, 30 online. I haven't bought a new pair of shoes in 2 years. Like the last pair of shoes I bought, where did I put them? They're in this room somewhere, probably behind this bag or whatever. But the last pair of shoes I bought was in late, like August or July of 2022. Because I've been having to pay for all this other stuff, I can barely get any new clothes. That's why when I had those relatives, they used to like well, and it was always the same ones about like what I was wearing or hair or whatever. It's like, guys, I don't think you get it. If I don't have food for gas, excuse me, money for gas or food, I will die. That like it's that simple. That's why I call them clowns, man. They get the priorities are just so backwards. At least I was able to get that book written by Jim's next president. So that was at least one good thing. It's one highlight. Well, look, I'll talk about her over the course of this week. What happened is that I was just so tired when I came back on Thursday the from the job. Anyways, I'll catch you later. I got to go to work. Well, have fun at work, Rev. Thanks for showing up again. We were getting really worried about you. I hope to hear from you again. It's been too long. But no, I was gonna make a video on her horrible DNC speech today, but I got back probably around like 11, 12 o'clock last night, and then I had to leave around the afternoon, so I just didn't think I had the time. Like I'd have to. That speech was like 40 minutes, and I didn't like almost any of it. So for me to just cut it up and whatever, I didn't have the time. But yeah, I'll try to do it this weekend. I have like one errand to run today, and then I'll be able to just come back and make it. Although again, the problem is I work tomorrow, so I got to try to get squeeze out as much as I can from the day. No problem, man. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for your time as always. Well, it's nice for somebody to thank me for my time because my job damn sure isn't doing it. Why are the politicians so obsessed with Israel? APAC? It's so crazy because there's such a young, large group of people who are like either pro-Palestine or at the very least against, the Israeli government on this issue, and neither party is willing to be there for them. Like all of your options are pro-Israel. It's really surreal. Because it's such a large voter bloc that would probably help them win the election if they supported Palestine or at least called for a ceasefire, said they were going to cut Israeli funding, but they just won't do it. Those donors are too powerful, man. You see the continuous Ukraine aid package. Yeah, but Ukraine's something that is, yeah, it's tied to NATO and the rest of the whole like multi-country nonsense. I'm talking about like the Israel thing is the donors just saying, hey, you must support this foreign government. I said before, American politicians are more loyal to the Israeli government than they are to the American one. No, I meant that what I'm talking about having like a bunch of foreign countries, like with the U.S., all just unilaterally supporting Ukraine. Like they're all just in defense of Ukraine. Like they all have the exact same position, which is we must defend Ukraine. We must give money to Ukraine. That's what I meant. That there's this united effort across all the developed countries just back this one country. Well, the U.S. is deteriorating. You had Michelle get up there and give this speech about how her parents taught her that we were always suspicious of people who had more than they needed. And it's like, lady, you are a 100 millionaire. She owns 3 houses. One of her houses is so big that I think it has like 15 rooms or something. I mean, as bad as that was, her speech was still better than Harris's. Harris's made me want to turn the damn convention off. Well, dude, that's the funny part. All the people that are claiming to represent the middle class are all extremely wealthy. Dude, Harris did a donate like a fundraiser video wearing a $60,000 necklace. You hear me? Harris did a fundraiser video. She's like, "Hey, can you guys donate to me?" Wearing a $60,000 necklace. And that's the person I'm supposed to give some money to. It is absolutely crazy. Dude, do you realize you could buy no, think about this. You could buy 30 cars or around 20 something cars with that amount of money. I've seen cars go for 3,000. Like it's nuts. She's not getting a dime from me. Well, I don't want your damn money. I want your comments. I want to see you leave a comment on FDR part 1 and LBJ part 5 and part 6 and Nixon part 1 cuz Nixon part 2 is coming soon. I don't think I'd be very surprised if we are halfway into September and I still haven't made that video. The script for it is mostly done. I think I could probably let me see if I only work 4 days this week, I think I could probably knock it out by the end of the week. Let's see, I have today, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, I got about 3 days this week to try and write, and I have like maybe 70, 80 more pages to go through. It's supposed to be an hour long. It takes us through his whole time in Congress, the 1952 presidential election, him and Eisenhower. So I would hope you'd leave a comment, but if you don't, I won't be surprised because we know how Jem does. We know the real 422. He won't leave a comment for me or you. We've read you. I remember when you didn't leave a comment on FDR part 1. I had tears in my eyes. I was just I said, Jim, no. I was singing that Linkin Park song. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. And then when I did Johnson Part 5 and 6, it's not 80s, no. It's way more recent than that. But when I did Johnson Part 5 and 6, and you still didn't leave a comment, I just kept singing. I put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. Yeah, I used to believe in you, but now I see the truth. We see the real gem all out in the open. He's been exposed. Now, that card thing didn't end up being as big of a deal as I thought it would be because the guy whose car it was, it didn't come back. So I guess It won't be something I have to worry about every day. Well, yeah, I can do a lot of things. I thought you would figure it out by now. Like, when I do a documentary, I write the whole script, I record it, and then I edit it, right? Like, you have to do multiple things to even be able to make that type of stuff. I hope you're familiar with that. Hell, some of them I put my own drawings in there. My new place. This is a temporary living arrangement. I can assure you that it'll be probably another month, and then I'll be doing some more car sleeping. Real excited for that. And I used to believe in you, but now I see the real gem. I really did want to make a video for Johnson's birthday, but I don't think I'll have enough time. Oh no, sleeping rough in Cali is dangerous. Well, I mean, that's what I did last year. So we're gonna get a sequel. I told you, I do not have anyone that cares. Like that's not a thing I make up or play with. I made a few wrong turns in LA. It was nuts. Yeah, it can be pretty dangerous over here at night. Over here, over in LA, over in San Francisco. I mean, it's just anywhere. A lot of these states have a part where there's just, I mean, whether you're talking about here or Newark, New Jersey, or Chicago, Illinois, or uh, hell, even parts of like Houston, Texas, are kind of scary. And of course, we have to bring up Chicago, or some people call it Chirac. I mean, I'm jealous because it's been so hot over here that I mean, I'd like some cold. Mm. Yeah, way too violent. I was telling this one person about that relative, right? The one that has like the money for the car, but not to help you. And they're like, so they're just lazy. So pretty much. No, you don't. It would be so uncomfortable. Well, the heat over here is uncomfortable. I mean, last year there was an instance of my car having its battery fried from the heat. It was just so damn hot, it fried the battery. So I'm all for some cooler weather. I've been the first one to go to Alaska, go see Murkowski and Palin. Well, I'd imagine it'd be easier to see Palin because she's disgraced. She lost her House race, so she went from being a governor who at one point was America's most popular governor and got picked as VP to not even being able to win a House race. I mean, okay, I don't want her. A lot of I mentioned that a lot of these like politicians, especially these right wing ones, are having like higher rates of divorce. Like MTG got divorced, Bobert got divorced, Kellyanne Conway got divorced. So there's just a running theme of these people just splitting from their and these are not like marriages that happened a year ago or 5 years ago. These some of these people have been married for 20 years and they just get divorced. I don't know what it is. It's like the more and more these people are getting involved with this stuff, it's like damaging their romances or relationships. It's really interesting. Because it used to be that you couldn't run for office as a divorced person, or at least it was seen as like a thing that would give you like no chance of getting anywhere. But they're doing it more and more often. It's no longer a taboo. Another interesting societal change. No, I really do keep like thinking about I like to think about it because I've seen it, but that alternate universe with the people that actually care, just it's real nice. Yeah, men are on the chopping block. I'm just picturing it right now. Hey, you need to go to work this week? Okay, here's 30 for gas. Here's 50 for food for the week. I was thinking about it, I said, yeah, that should cover me. I mean, hmm. I can go to the market and get like 4 bags of chips for $10. And there's no way in hell I can eat 4 bags in one day. Um, well, you gotta understand, I don't have a microwave anymore, so I can't use the TV dinners I used to have. Uh, I mean, I could make it work, and I could add, you add on like $10, whatever. It wouldn't be that. My point I'm making is it's still, and hell, I told you that with before my job started doing their cheap, lousy crap of screwing me out of my discounts, I could get two of something for 11, and again, that 50 would cover me for most of the week. Oh, blank. That's so. Oh, bro, that's so unhealthy. Well, what is the alternative? Just eat nothing. Jem, why do you do that? Where you're like, oh no, don't do this, even though you have no other alternatives or options. Like when I mentioned my job being 30 miles away, that's like asking for car trouble. I'm like, well, hell, nobody else is willing to hire me and give me some damn hours. Like, Jen, would you prefer I just eat nothing? Because I've had days where there was a day where I literally only ate once. Because I bought some. I think it was 3 burgers. I had one at 3 in the afternoon, and then I put like a bag on the floor because I don't have any furniture here, and the ants ate them up. So I had to like go at 1 in the morning and get something to eat from somewhere else. So I don't know what the alternative to this is. Like, should I just not eat anymore? Should I just go, well, this stuff isn't healthy, so I guess I just won't have anything. Give me a break. Trust me, if I was getting 5 or 6 days a week of work, I would have been bought a microwave, but I just can't, or you know some larger fridge probably. But all the stuff I have to pay for, I can't risk it. Like I said, man, I'd be more willing to put up with a lot of this stuff if I just had support, but I don't. You live in a city with relatives who couldn't care less if you were alive or dead. It's so funny watching them like just because I mentioned I had two of them who did the like whole give me a hug, like they have to force you to give them a hug. because they like on some level they know that they're not worth hugging, that you would never touch them. I'm not moving to another state where it's even less likely for me to survive. So that's already off the table. To send that idea back to the chopping block, put that one back on the board. Hmm. I hope you don't do that thing. The other one was like, maybe if you go on your knees and beg them and tell them, look, I need your. They do not care. I could die tomorrow and they wouldn't even notice. Yeah, that is funny. That was like I wouldn't take it seriously as a thing to actually do, but it would be funny. Move in and help each other. Um, I hope you realize that the whole idea of moving in with someone and quote unquote helping was already attempted with that relative, right? The idea behind that 300 a month was, oh yeah, you're helping me by paying this, and I explained that as stupid as I thought that arrangement was, I still, because again it started when I didn't even have a job, right? So just minus minus minus. I still capitulated to it because it was just this one thing, right? But once the bank got involved and I had to start paying all that stuff to them too. It was just too much. And no matter you well, remember you have to pay the thing they want, their ransom, their $300 ransom, and then whatever other stuff comes your way. So like for example, there was a month where my car was acting up and I had to go and buy the pieces to get these guys like put it in. That was like $200 right there. Um that's why I said like this is part of the reason that I despise these people so much, because the ability to empathize, to understand, like you, this, and I'm going to keep making this point, you cannot abdicate and abandon responsibility for someone. Just say, hey, look, I'm not going to help you with anything. I'm not going to pay for anything. I can't afford it, or I don't want to. Whichever one is true, it probably is they don't want to. I think it's they don't want to, but whatever, whichever is true, you cannot abdicate responsibility for that person, but then keep sticking your hand out and expecting for them not to get pissed or say, hey, look, it's too much. I got to get out of here. Because remember, if you run out of money, they don't care. Oh, you don't have the 300 this month, or get out of my house, and then you're on the street again, and now you have like nothing to even be able to get food or gas or any other thing you need to survive. You're just dead. Like you're just dead. That's it. Game over. Maybe you'll respawn with some better relatives in another life. That was the point I made when that person was trying to make it sound like paying 300 wasn't a big deal. I was like, are you out of your damn mind? If you have to pay for all this other stuff on top of that, it is a big deal. No, I mean, people are just so damn delusional. Like when I had that peace summit last year, I had to explain to that relative, not the one that did it, but the one that was trying to call himself the mediator. This person does not pay for me to eat. Like they just assumed that was a thing this person was doing. Oh, they have mouths to feed. Like they're not feeding me at all. They don't do any damn thing. They just run their mouth and get mad when they don't get money. That's all they care about. Coins. Well, I adhered to it until it got to be too much. 5 months of paying $1,000 a month just was too much. I just said, to hell with it. 300 plus add on up to the other another. Yeah, it's too much. That's why I left. Yes, it was 700 to the bank, 300 to that person. It was too much. That's why I left. And that's why I said I was so frustrated, because it's like you work all these hours and your whole damn check just. And I said earlier in the stream, I don't believe that a person is supposed to just work a job and not see any advancement. Like, you think I'm going to work a job for a year and not have at least, I don't know, $10,000? Like, are you kidding me? I don't see a point in having a job if there's no advancement. Even if I don't get promoted to manager or whatever, who cares? But there should be a point. Basically, what I visualize, my idea is that no matter what job you have, if you're with the job for a year or 18 months, you should have enough. You should be able to save enough money to where you're like, oh, you guys want to get rid of me? Okay, well, whatever. I have my 20,000, my 30,000. I don't care. It's tough being young and broke. Yeah, but it shouldn't be that way. See, I will never. So, like, I told the story before about, like, one person died and then all the other ones, were like headless chickens. They just run around doing stupid stuff in that person's absence. But the truth is, if we're actually telling the truth, if we're actually being honest, sometimes a person, even if they're an adult, needs help with things. Sometimes they don't have a job because places are not hiring. Sometimes, um, there's any given number of reasons, and you cannot abandon someone and expect respect. It's almost impossible to save in your situation. Well, don't worry. We're gonna keep on changing and doing anything we can to make that situation better. Guess what? When I left that person, suddenly I don't have to pay 300 a month anymore. You would need unlimited overtime. Like I said, we're gonna keep on fixing it until we get to the point of being able to save. If people don't want to help you, then you have to give them your backside to kiss. They want to sit there and be fine with you dying. Okay. Jim, I really do believe I work as hard as I can. Um, it's unfortunate when you're not respected by your job or cared for by your relatives. Well, they are giving me more hours. Like that week I left, they only gave me 2 shifts. This week it's 4. Next week's 4. Week after that is 6. So I'm not upset over my hours at my job. I'm upset that the people who claim to care about me have, like, just are so blatantly bad at demonstrating it that it's almost laughable. Like it's just a big joke. 4 hours a week. I mean, I usually get 20 something. Well, that was one of the reasons I had friction with that relative. They assisted me with getting a job, and then the job that I had, I tried to have two at the same time because the other one was only giving me two shifts a week, and they were like 4 hours long. So it's like it was like 16 an hour. So by the time you go to the market and buy your little crap from the store, you get um you get like what? You really made like 10 bucks over 4 hours. And remember, no matter how much or how little of work you get from these jobs, that same relative is going to have their hand out like this. That was always funny. It's like, if you want me to work this job that's only giving me two shifts a week, maybe you can change your things and not charge. Nope. Okay. Okay. Well, I can't work through that. What a circus. That hand was black, and it's if it was big, and it certainly wasn't big in terms of intelligence because that I don't know what they were thinking. You're supposed to just pay this amount every month on top of whatever else. Like, dude, the bank could want 3,000 a month, and I could work two jobs just to like pay that, and this person would still be like, "Where's my 300? The hell with you." The lack of concern, man. It's some sad stuff, I tell you. But yeah, I was saying that people online, they come and they start simping for people they don't even know, these relatives, and like that guy did on that on everything start crumbling. And I find that so sad because as someone who, I wasn't born yesterday. I know that there are people who have cared about me, who have done things for me, and it is unfortunate that in their absence, this group of selfish, lying, worthless sacks of garbage who, if they were to be eviscerated from this earth tomorrow, there would be nothing of any value would be lost. Are able to just sit here and tell someone that they claim to care so much about. Oh yes, I care about you. I love you. That's why I can't help you with anything you actually need to survive. And man, the reasons why they can't do it are all over the place. Just they're just searching. They pull a reason out of a hat. There's no justification for this stuff other than just I don't want to. I don't feel like it. But I said, that's why I'm so cynical about a lot of this other stuff because it's like if your own family doesn't care about you, why would you believe anyone at your job does? Am I right? And I always thought it was so crazy how I've had like I remember one of the managers at my job bought me food one time, and I was just so touched by it because you can't even get your own relatives to ever do that. And I don't expect anyone I work with to do something like that for me. It shocked me. I was like, wow. Yeah, it was nice 2 years ago, 7 years ago to be surrounded by people that actually cared. People that if you didn't have a job, they knew how hard it was to not get one. If you needed something to eat, let's go up here. Um, People who actually treated me like I was a person and not some, pest or parasite. No, I'm just explaining that, you had molecules, but nobody owes you gas money. And I said, if nobody owes me gas money, then explain why I have to pick somebody up twice a week. That it's a 30-mile drive just to go and pick them up. Like, that's why I said the brains on these bastards just doesn't work. But I can assure you, whether I live another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I will never forget the way I was treated over the past 23 months. Yes, 30 miles to drive to pick somebody up from school, and you don't get 1 cent to do this. You're supposed to help out. That was one of the things, like the precursors to me leaving from there, because there was a Friday where I had to go to work, and this person got mad at me for not being able to pick somebody up or some stupid thing, and they were like, "You can leave if you're going to be lazy." And I'm like, "Are you out of your goddamn mind? Somebody's paying all this money to stay here, and because they have to go to their job and not run your little dumb errand, they can't. They're lazy. Are you out of your like just again the brains? They don't work. Yes, it is unjust." I said to him, if you have such a problem with me working, why don't you call my job, tell me you want me to get fired, so you want them to get rid of me so I can just drive to do this errand for you every damn day or twice a week or however many times they tried to impose it on me. That's literally 40 extra dollars you had to pay in gas to fulfill that one like obligation that was just thrust upon you. Imagine you go off of work at 3 in the morning, and you have to be up at 11 or 12 in the afternoon to go and run some errand for somebody else. It's stupid. They don't care. Everything is about them. If you're not doing something that is beneficial to them, you don't matter. You can go die. I mean, when I left from over there, that was it. That I was only over there for I think maybe 3 more weeks after that. It was one of those Saturdays where I didn't stream that happened. I did a video about it where I just kind of like alluded to it. I didn't like directly say this is why I'm not streaming today. But no, that was one of the precursors because I said this is getting too stupid. This is too dumb. And then they had the nerve to say to me, "You should have had a job a long time ago." Go to hell. Like just go die. Like it's stupid. They're always raising the goalpost. They say you're lazy because you don't have a job, and then now you're lazy because you don't want to do some errand for them twice a week. It's just nothing matters. They will if someone gets an idea of you, they will have it no matter what new information is presented. That's why I say I'm so sick of the word love. Every time somebody writes that or says that to me, I just want to just block them and delete it off my phone. Like, I love you. Yeah, sure you do. I love you. Well, I told you it just comes down to these people don't care. They just don't care. That's all there is to it. They like you can hear stuff about, oh, you're an adult. You can hear stuff about I'm poor. You can hear stuff about, whatever, whatever. But the short answer is they only care about you in ways that are convenient to them. If they went and spent some money to help you with getting a job or keeping a job or just eating, right? That's less money for them. So they have to they're going to dance around having to do that. They're going to, use all the excuses. They're going to, whatever they can to make sure that they have more benefits for themselves because that's the only person they care about themselves. Well, I mean, this is how it goes. You're a kid when they want to tell you what to do, and you better go do this, and you better do that. But then you're an adult when they want to, charge you to stay with them or not get you anything that you actually need to survive. I mean, they flip back and forth. They can't really decide which one they want to use, whichever one's convenient for that argument that day. Yeah, I mean, when have I ever said I quit? Been there now for 9 months. The same one where you were like, "That's like asking for car trouble." Yes, that one. Of course, she's like a roach. Can't get rid of her. Can show up late as many times as you want, no problem. That's why I said all those like attempts at getting somebody fired, they know are full of crap. Because if you actually thought somebody was scary and oh my, I don't want him to do this to me, wouldn't you leave? Like if you found out that person that you reported and were so afraid of, and oh, I'm so terrified. If you really felt that way, wouldn't you go? No, 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 it's not. No, they're just desperate. That's it. They're just desperate. They'll just take anybody. She's not the only one they do that with, or they just put up with whatever. I'm serious. If I was working somewhere and I made a report like to try to get somebody out of there, and it didn't work, and I'm like I'm so terrified, I would just leave. But they won't do that because they're full of crap. Lying bastards. I'm so scared. Oh, then why won't you go? It can't be that impossible for her to find another job. Am I right? I saw her yesterday. She walked past my car, and I think she asked for something, and I gave it to her, and that was it. Like I said, I haven't made any attempts at trying to be friends or talk to that piece of garbage since March. After the I'll pick you up at 8 with the other guy, right? The three men stream. If you remember that one, I haven't made any more attempts. I'm like, this is stupid. No, the guy said I'll pick you up at 8, and she said yes, and then I didn't go to the event because it was at like 8 in the morning on a day where I got off at you know early as late as hell, right? Like 12 or 1 or whatever. But she stood him up to go with some other guy, and they showed up in their pajamas together to show everybody that they were dating. I'm telling you, man, some of these chicks are just why do people do things? Like why? Just what motive? Mm. Avoid her at all costs. I mean, hey, been there, done that. I'm just imagining because I was told that this same relative was crying last Saturday about me being gone or whatever. I was like, oh no, how will I get my 300? God, man, everything has reached the point of self parody. Like, it's funny because all they care about is money, and so when they do all this stuff about I love and all the rest of that trash, it's not true. You know it's not real. Like they could have easily called me back, not over the last 2 days because my phone's off, but they could have called me and said, "Hey, you know, I want you to return. I'm worried about you. I won't, ask you to pay all this crap anymore." But they won't do that because the most important thing to them is this. Only thing they're concerned about just green pieces of paper. Dude, could you imagine like just not caring about anything or anyone else at all except like coins? Like, ooh, I found a penny on the floor. Oh, so I mean, just I don't know. To me, it's just so tacky. Oh, their resource ran out. Their resource charted a different course. People are so insane, man. Like, and I've explained this to the same group of people, and they just keep making excuses for him. Oh, why can't you just pay this? Why can't I was like, oh God, guys, let's not play this game anymore. Let's be done for once. Their resource ran out. That resource just flew the coop. It was gone. It disappeared, and it's never coming back. So, Jem, do you have any other stuff you want to put in here? Because I'm kind of getting a little tired. Any further comments, thoughts, theories, concerns? Like I said, I'm just trying to survive. When you're surrounded by people who don't care, it really puts things into perspective. I go and I work my job. They try to do their little nasty stuff. I put up with it as best I can. I lose my cool. And then with these relatives, it's like I'm sure they really do get off on just not being there at all. I'm sure it tastes really sweet to just be like, hey, there's a person I claimed I was responsible for that I'm not going to help at all. Yum. I'm sure it feels real good right now, but I promise you this: it doesn't matter how long I live, it could be again 5 years, 10 years, 20. I will never forget the way I have been treated, and every single person that was involved in that will have this as a permanent part of their existence. I won't forget. Same thing with that chick. I after she tried to get me in trouble, I didn't forget. Doesn't make any sense why the people who claim to care so much about you can't do anything. But that's why I said words like love and um, all the rest of that garbage. It doesn't mean anything. Their actions are the most important stuff we can see from people. The rest of this is just empty rhetoric. So, Jem, thanks for showing up. I would like to see you leave some comments on stuff, but I know we know the real Gem. We've read you all the way through, so we know you're not going to do that. I'm glad Rev showed up earlier, and I'll. I'm not having any kind of altercation with anybody. I'm just saying I won't forget because I know that they're really giddy right now. Oh, there's someone I'm supposed to be concerned about that I won't do anything for. They're just getting off on it. Let them get off on it because, like I said, I won't forget. I won't forget. I won't forget. So thanks for showing up and have a good rest of your weekend.